looking at what she's saying as the reason, because the reason why she's saying it is going to determine whether it's coming from a place of self-hatred or logic. Now, she said that black male babies turn into black male adults, which we know they do, and then they position themselves as the enemies of black women, which they have been doing.
Wait. In whose world is that a reality? In whose world is that a true reality, where a black boy is birthed and he grows up and then he positions himself as the enemy of the black women? In what world do you live in, woman? But let's continue.
For a very long time, since before we even hit the shores of this country here, they've been positioning themselves as the enemy of black women. So when
I would love for her to give an example of what she's saying, because she's just talking out of the side of her neck. But let's continue.
someone says that I don't want to engage in this behavior because I know the future outcome is going to be problematic behavior, then how can we label that self-hatred as opposed to a black man saying, I want to go create a biracial baby because I...
Wait. So how do you put those two things together? Like, what is going on in this woman's mind to the point where she puts those two things together and just run with it? It's mind-blowing. She has to be 12 years old or something.
Like black women's dark skin. I don't want the hair texture. I don't want the signs and the symbols of blackness. So those are two separate issues that...
When men do that, when they say, oh, I don't want this feature of that resembles their own, it is self-hate. Just as what you guys are perpetuating. Self-hate. But let's continue.
Being presented here, I don't think a woman who looks at the trajectory of what a black male baby will become and make her decision on what they're going to do, what the most likely outcome is going to be when he becomes an adult, I don't think that's self-hatred, because quite frankly, that's how you plan for the future. Even if you...
So wait. So the way you teach your kids don't have nothing to do with how he's going to end up as an adult? But let's continue.
What the powers that be are doing here, they're basing it off of trajectories and likelihood. And so even with Ella saying, well, why would we essentially, and I'm just giving my understanding, I'm not saying that you said this verbatim, but the question of whether you should have a male baby versus a female one. Well, the trajectory for black females is success. We're trajectory up. We're doing everything. We're the biggest entrepreneurs. We're building the communities. We're the most educated. That's what the trajectory is for black women.
Okay, so where is she getting her information from? Like, why does she think that black women are doing so much better than black men when we are the same? We are the exact same. You can't have one without the other. You can't have a black man without putting a black man and a black woman together. You can't have a black woman without putting a black man and a black woman together.
Why there's so many investors investing in black women. The trajectory for black males is failure. It just is what it is. And
so the trajectory for black men is failure. In what world do she live in to where she just says that nonchalantly as if it's a matter of fact, and it's not?
Look at the past and compare it to now, they've been getting worse and worse and worse. So it's very logical for a person to assume from any black male baby that he is likely to grow up and he would be one of the males who disparage black women, who prey on black women, who seeks out to destroy a black woman's life.
So let me just stop her right there. So in every race, there's exactly what she's explaining. In every race, this is not just a black person thing. In every race, there's exactly what she's explaining. But for some reason, she feels like that she has to categorize all of the negative things and say that it's a black male thing. But let's continue.
He does not value them, and maybe not because he started out not valuing.
She's always talking about somebody's not being valued. Like I can tell that her vagina is so terrible that men just say, "Ugh, I can't stand you," and just probably do her any old kind of way.
Them, but because that is the culture that black men have created, and it's the vacuum that they will suck your son into. So even though you can say, well, I'm going to do my best to, raise him and turn him into a good person, which I believe every black woman is thinking, that's not the outcome, because your parental influence isn't the only influence that he's going to be subjected to.
So in that sense, there's nothing a black boy can do. We are just inherently designed to fail, is essentially what she's saying. And I need her to just put some examples to it. She's just making blanket statements, trying to sound like she knows what she's talking about, because her cult is going to follow everything she say and jump on the bandwagon of all her stupid ass sayings. And it's just sad. It's just sad.
Mostly what he's going to be subjected to is black male culture, other black males' mentality, because he's going to seek the influence of other males. And when you have a community full of trash bag bandits who are telling them to pump and dump and to not value the women, make them baby mamas, not marry them, and then when they...
Wait, who's telling guys that? Who is actually telling men to do all of those things? Like, what is she talking about? Is she pulling all of this out of the sky? Does she just have such of a deep imagination to where she's just pulling the shit out of her ass? Like, what's really going on here? Somebody hurt this woman. Somebody hurt her. But let's continue.
Abused or what have you, tell them they should have chose better in a group of men to where choosing better is nearly impossible, then it becomes a situation of logic. I mean,
wait, so out of every black man in this world, she's telling me there's not one of us that is decent enough to defy that little notion that she's trying to spread about black men. So there's none of us out there that can actually be an example of the complete opposite of what she's talking about. But let's continue.
Just to what Nyla said, resets are not pretty, but here's the thing. Getting rid of problematic things that come from your gene pool is ingrained in the nature of animals, which we're commonly compared to. What happens when an animal gives birth to what they see as a defective child? They don't even sit there and contemplate whether they should get rid of it. They just get rid of it. If they have
But what constitutes as a defective child? See, she's trying to sound like she's smart, and she only sounds smart to dumb people. But to people that really understand, they know she's full of shit.
Or a baby that's born where one of their legs are not effective, they're not going to sit there and contemplate. They just get rid of them. Because they realize you cannot let defectiveness fester. You have to get rid of it, and you have to get rid of it soon, or else it becomes a problem. It becomes dead weight, and it holds you back rather than helping you to succeed.
So get rid of all black boys. So if we get rid of all black boys, how will black women be created? Not sure she thought about that. Not sure she took the time to really just understand that, hey, without a black man, there's no black woman. But that makes too much sense for people like her. So let's just continue.
Essentially, that's what black males have become. I don't care who they're raised by. That is what they're becoming, because they have other influences like the kitten in heels.
Again, who is she talking about? Where are these people that she is speaking about? It's weird that she feels like all black men are in one bucket and we all think all alike and we all do all of the same things. This is very...
Why do you think he's growing so rapidly? Because most of these males are gravitating towards another male who is giving them an outlet to express their hatred for black women. And
so since you recognize that there's somebody out there that is being a Trojan horse to hate black women, you think inside of your head, let me create something that reciprocates that same energy. Make that make sense. But let's continue.
the mothers of these males, I'm sure they felt like they did whatever they could to mold them into better men too. However, that's not the situation you're living in. We can go hundreds and possibly thousands of years into the past and see the same behavior being portrayed by black men. It just is what it is. So it's about how long you're willing to ignore what's actually happening so that you can fantasize about what you want to happen. But
it sounds like she's talking about two different types of black guys. So there's two different types of black guys. Okay, so there is your normal black guy, you know, law-abiding, go to work, come home, take care of his family. And then there's niggas. Niggas are black dudes that really don't have much going on for themselves, though they might have a whole lot of potential, and they lack the mental capacity to take advantage of their strong suits. That's what niggas are. Niggas that just sit around and do nothing all day, sit up and smoke blunts and sit on freaking steps all day and hang out in front of liquor stores. That's what niggas do. Black men don't do that. Black men take care of their business. Black men go to work. Black men have their own businesses. Black men treats everybody with respect. Niggas don't. So that's the difference. We have black men and we have niggas. Maybe she's talking about niggas, but let's not give her no excuses and let's continue.
I'll go on mute and y'all can bring that smoke. Because I feel like I just banged the gavel.
Yeah, so see, this is the thing. What is the issue?
Oh, here comes a voice of reason, Tonya TKO. Let's hear what Tonya TKO has to say.
About black men that is problematic? Is it their blackness? Is it their maleness? Because when we start saying that the problem with black men is that they're black, that's when we enter into problematic territory, which also bleeds on to us.
That is 100% correct what she said. See, Tonya TKO is a woman that actually knows what she's talking about, I suppose, because she is not with all of that nonsense that they are perpetuating here on Cynthia's G page. But let's continue.
The problem also black. So my thing is this: there has to be some sort of discernment for who falls under the umbrella of problematicness. And we need to speak with women about how to discern who is a good mate from who is a not so good mate.
See, that is some logical information to give to women. That right there is 100% correct. But let's continue.
And what makes a man a better candidate than another man? Because if his defunctness, if what makes him a runt is his Negroid DNA, if what makes him problematic is his Negroid DNA, then there's no hope for the black race at all. Because
booyah, she said it. She said it. If the problem with black men is the fact that they are black, melanin, African American, whatever, then that's a problem with the whole black community. And it's sad that Cynthia G doesn't recognize that. I swear she's 12 years old.
Black women cannot continue to exist without black men. Like,
Yeah, we can.
Booyah! And wait, what did she say? She said, yes, we can. Let me rewind that back a little bit, just a little bit.
if what makes him problematic is his Negroid DNA, then there's no hope for the black race at all. Because we black women cannot continue to exist without black men. Like,
yeah, we can. We can absolutely continue to.
How can the black community continue to breed without black men? Please explain this, Cynthia. I beg of you. Please, just explain this and make it make sense.
Without black men, and this has been scientifically proven. We absolutely can. But I don't think anybody has ever mentioned it being an issue of their blackness. This is their mentality.
Well, they do, actually. I'll answer that. They have a problem with their blackness. So they've identified their blackness being the issue. And another thing is like, you go by a preponderance of evidence. So globally, what are the main issues within the black culture with black men? What are the main concepts that come up? What are and then you can always trace that back to what is the downfall in most black communities, and you can also trace that back to black males as well. So
No, you can trace the problem with black communities to poverty, being poor, not having many options. That's what you can put that to. But let's go ahead and continue.
You know, it's not so much we're saying, because their DNA is black. No, it's actually, if you look at the behaviors across the board, which are child neglect, which is
the inappropriate touching, the crime in the community, the lack of safety, the violence,
and the reason why I keep saying
nearly everything.
The reason why I keep saying child neglect, because that's for me the seed which all the other stuff stands from.
There's deadbeat fathers of every race, every single race. There's deadbeat fathers, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. There's deadbeat fathers in every group. So, but let's continue. Let's try to act like it's only black men that are deadbeat fathers. But let's just go ahead and continue.
So, if you talk about violence, that's going to come from child neglect. If you talk about poverty, that's going to come from child neglect. If you talk about low morale, all of that behaviors, all those behavior problems that that's from child neglect. So when it's all going to circle back to child neglect. So if black men were parenting their children, and if they were there to support their children, their offsprings, then what you would see is community leaders. You would see youth with problem-solving skills. You wouldn't see, such crime rate.
The problem is what she's saying is that everything that she's saying that we would see if it exists actually exists. And the problem is with these people is that they fail to do their due diligence to try to really dig in and find out if this is really a thing. But let's just go ahead and continue.
That are so high, you wouldn't among black youth, and that's globally. No matter where you go, there is a high crime rate amongst black male youth specifically.
There is a high crime rate in an area where there's poor people. Everywhere where there's poverty, there's crime. Where there's crime, there's poverty. People need to understand that. But let's continue.
Crime, by and large,
Black males, basically.
Absentee fathers. Absentee fathers. And I won't say just absentee because sometimes they are there, but they're predatory and they're hostile towards the woman, towards the mother. Or they're showing some kind of derelict behavior that the child is role modeling. So regardless to whether it's them being there and being problematic or just being absent, and then through that absence, the child is learning very problematic behaviors and they're modeling dysfunction to children. And
so the parent that is supervising, whether it's a male parent or a female parent, the parent that is supervising don't have no responsibility in that? None, zero whatsoever. So you're just saying that just because it's a male and it's a black male that it's gonna subscribe to that type of behavior automatically? Is that what we're suggesting? But let's just go ahead and continue.
When you role model dysfunction to children, that child becomes an adult, and then in their adult life, they're either having to deal with all the issues that they acquired while growing up, or they're just being a criminal, and that's just really what it is.
I'd love to jump in here and finish the point that I was making earlier.
Please, Tonya TKO, jump in and make a logical point, because you know you're talking to illogical people, but do your best.
About how black women can't continue to exist without black men in this way, right? And we talked about this the other day, Cynthia, where you were like, well, it takes less men to inseminate, right? However, if you even listen to what Onyx is saying, positive male influence in the home is essential for the upward outcome of the children. So if we're saying, let's just not have black male babies and let's just have black female babies, where does the community continue to go except into further fatherlessness? Because if that's the case, then black women just need to stop having black women in communities with problematic culture need to stop having children altogether, both male and female, or move to another community with a thriving culture, another community, another country, something. Because what's going to end up happening is, because the people who are producing the most problematic people in the black community are not going to stop having children. The black community here in America is going to become overrun. And this has already started to happen. And this is the effect that we're seeing right here, because educated black people are having less and less children, while uneducated black people and problematic black people are having multiples of children. So now the scale is tilted towards the vast majority of people in the black community here in America being of people who probably should have made better decisions before they started giving birth in the situations they were giving birth in to begin with. So I think that we have to get educated black women who are able to discern what is a good black man, what is a good head and family man. I'd like to finish my point, please. And have those people continue to create children and gear those children into ways that they can be positive influences in the community. Otherwise, we're going to be overrun and pushed out.
Wait, Tonya, hold on. I was with you, but are you saying, well, I mean, I guess that's not even a bad point, but, are you saying that poor people shouldn't have kids? Is that what you're saying? But to be fair, why would poor people keep having kids? It's going to keep them poor. But we'll just go ahead and continue.
We will not be overrun. We will not be pushed out. They're going to kill themselves off by sheer number of them being highly degenerate and destructive. Their survival has been because of the few of us that are okay. They're covering.
That doesn't even make sense. It's like, what are you talking about, woman? Like, where does your mind go when you're thinking of thoughts? Does it go straight to the toilet? Does it pit stop in the trash can? Does it fall on the floor? Like, what's going on? My God.
Protection has relied on us being good and being decent. It is time for the division. And that division is going to happen within the womb. It has to happen within the womb. They will cease to exist eventually.
So, did you just complete?
Listen up.
I'm gonna go ahead and just stop it here for now. You know, I got these ads going up, so I'm gonna just go ahead and stop it here. I might do a part 2 and a part 3 to it. I'm not sure. It's just listening to this is just so hard to listen to because it's just it just spawned out of pure ignorance and stupidity. So it's just like, do I continue to rack my brain with this idiotic nonsense, or do I just retire and just move on to something else? It's the Go Mike Podcast. Mike is golden. This is the podcast. I'm your host, Mark Paul.